Okay, so Preston Laird, currently Little Rock assistant coach, and on the coaching staff for the Panamaniacs TBT team in July. Preston, like you were at MSU for a while with Marvin. Just how's it going for you in your career? Obviously, you went to UNLV or Little Rock now. Like, talk about your career first, real quick.
No, thanks for having me, Jason. This is a cool opportunity. First of all, I'm an Aggie, so my master's degree is from New Mexico State. Las Cruces in New Mexico State holds a dear and close place to my heart. That was my first job after I got done playing basketball at Memphis. Met a lot of beautiful people. It's a great city. I had a great time in my 4 years there. Won a lot of games. So, first and foremost, I am an Aggie, and that's something we really wanted to focus on when putting this group together, from the staff to the roster. We wanted that strong New Mexico State representation, and we have that. But, since I left New Mexico State, I've continued to progress in my coaching career. I went to UNLV for 3 years and served in some different capacities, director of operations, eventually getting moved up to the road as an assistant coach. From there, I have come to University of Arkansas Little Rock, which is in the Sun Belt Conference, transitioning to the Ohio Valley Conference. My first year here, we won the regular season championship, had one of the largest turnarounds in the country that year in terms of number of wins. We were on our way to New Orleans for the conference tournament, and then that's when all the league started shutting down due to COVID. So it was kind of some unfinished business for us, after that season. From there, we've been trying to, we've lost some transfers out, kind of had to rebuild our roster, coming back strong this year. We've got a great group, and, mostly I'm excited about being able to coach the Panamaniacs.
Yeah, like it's kind of a all-star coaching staff. I mean, Billy was like Mario is the head coach. How have you guys even talked about how you guys are gonna handle stuff, I guess, once the games start? Can you talk about like kind of the layout for an actual game?
Sure. So, obviously we met as a staff last night on FaceTime. We kind of went through the schedule leading up to the game. We're going to have a mini camp in Las Cruces with a couple practices, trying to get our guys to reestablish some chemistry for the ones that have played together before, and for the ones that haven't established that chemistry. We talked about the structure of practice, what we're going to try to accomplish. In such a short period of time, there's a priority list that you can start working your way down, but you're not going to hit it all. So we kind of put that priority list together, things we want to focus on going into the mini camp and then to the game. And then we also talked about the events, some things that we want to do around in Las Cruces while we're there. This is, ever since my time at New Mexico State, it's always been an initiative that the university has taken on to try and get the alumni and the former players back to campus. I mean, that's anywhere, but we all know Las Cruces is a different, passionate place when it comes to their basketball, and we want to keep the relationship with our alumni as strong as we can. And the TBT allows for that opportunity. And so that's something we emphasize as a staff as well.
What are the dates on training camp? Do we know that yet, or?
Yeah, so the first day of training camp will be July 14th. We're going to go for 3 days. They're going to go the 14th, the 15th, the 16th, and maybe potentially do something light on the 17th before we play in Albuquerque on the 18th.
Okay. And I saw the UNM team did a golf tournament to, Brandon told me that he's trying to make it a good experience for the players. He said that, some of the things are like Lorenzo's is helping out maybe for food or meals or whatever. Like, they did a golf tournament up in Albuquerque. Like, is there any kind of fundraising opportunities for the Panamaniacs?
Yeah, no, thanks for asking, Jason. Obviously, this is the first year that we've done this team, so we're starting from the ground level. When you look around the country, the TBT has been going, I think, for about 8 years now, and there's some teams that are established that actually have some budgets that are able to pay for some of the expenses of their players. Maybe even a little pay for play is going on around the TBT. For us, getting this thing off the ground the first year, we're not there yet. That's going to be something that we have to build towards. So we've relied on the university, the athletic department at New Mexico State, the relationships within the community for hotels, for restaurants, for vendors around town. There's boosters that are very involved in organizing and schedule. Shout out to Sherry Jones. She's been awesome. But no, all of these resources that the university has set up, we're going to be trying to cover the meals for the team. We're actually able to cover some of the expenses for the hotel. Shout out to Paul Grindstaff. But it's coming together nicely for the first year. Again, like Brandon has said before, we want to make this a quality experience. I'll say a quality experience means we got to win.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we want the guys to enjoy coming back to the city, to the university that they represented at one point in time or another, and then go on and represent, in the pit against the Lobos.
So, how did you guys go about putting the roster together? Obviously you have some relationships probably, but can you talk about just adding the guys that you did, and how you identified people that could or couldn't play, and just the process behind the scenes of getting the commitments that you were able to get?
Yeah. So what's beautiful about the recent, I say recent because that's your selection. That's where you're going to pick from for this team. But what's beautiful about the recent history of New Mexico State is it's winning. There's been a lot of winners over the last decade. So, you really just work back from there. You look at your roster, you look at, who's still playing professionally, who's just getting started professionally, trying to establish their careers, who's done playing that still has a little gas left in the tank. And that's what's cool about our roster is we've kind of have a mix of all of those guys. And they're all winners, at the end of the day. New Mexico State has won. We have all won in recent years, and even, prior to that, but those dudes ain't playing. But these younger guys and the guys that are kind of on the way out from professional career that still, are good for a week of basketball are involved, and we're excited to have all of them.
So, looking at the TBT roster online, can you talk about who's are there question marks at this point, a month out, in terms of some of the guys that are playing overseas, Preston? I talked to Wendell. It sounds like he's down. He said that he can just come in and be like freshman year Wendell and just rebound. That's all. But there's some guys that weren't on the roster online. I don't know what that means, but I just want to know how it's shaping up here.
Yeah, no, the roster has come together really nicely. We've got a group. We've got guys, like I said, that have played together before. We've got guys that haven't, that are going to be, we know their personalities. They're going to mesh well together. Guys from different eras, which is the coolest part. But no, we've got good bigs. We've got good guards. I don't want to start naming names because I don't want to leave anybody out. Okay. But we've got a good group of guys together that are going to compete and represent New Mexico State basketball well.
You mentioned guards. It seems like that's you have a good, Johnny is a big. I know that Johnny just got done playing his college career. BJ West, but the guards, it seems like is loaded. I don't know if that's a strength, if you guys see that as a strength of your roster right now.
Absolutely. So when we think about how our roster, our skill set, what we have, we've got really, really good guard play. Not taken away from our bigs. Our bigs are solid, but our guard play is very, very strong. So we've got a lot of speed. We've got a lot of skill. We've got a lot of shooting. We've got athleticism, and we've got an unselfish group. Again, we tried to stay as close to, the Aggie way, the New Mexico State guys that played and represented, and because there's a certain brand, to that. There's a certain mentality and a certain mindset, a grittiness, a toughness, a sit down and let's defend and grind this out, for 40 minutes. But our group is great. We've got our group chat going every single day. They're excited. They're active. we're already starting our preparation for the game in the pit, and we can't wait to get to Las Cruces and start preparing.
Who we talked about who you did get. Who are some guys that you couldn't make it work this time around? Like for whatever reason.
Yeah, so the international guys it's hard for them to get into the country. They've been having passport issues, and we were trying to work through some stuff, but it's just too time sensitive now. I mean, we're a few weeks away from playing the game.
Yeah.
We were in talks with Banja C, who was a great player for us back in the 2010, 11, 12 era. Unfortunately, his passport's not going to be, he's not going to be able to get into the country. Ivan was another guy that we really wanted, but unfortunately he's having some issues getting into the country. And even Chile Napalwe, somebody that we had reached out to that was excited to play. All those guys wanted to play. And even today, I still talk to them, communicating what's going on and, hey, this is what we're doing. They're super excited about the opportunity to play Lobos in the pit. And we keep that option open for the future. Maybe they can help us play in the future. Again, this is something that we want to build off of.
Yeah, Brandon talked about just having a pool of people. That's kind of what he did with the UNM team. If you guys can establish just a pool of folks that are, if available, they can play in this thing. It's the NMSU's first time playing in this. Like, what do you tell them about? I mean, there's a different level between college basketball and even overseas pros, right? So like, what do the young guys expect? Like Braxton just finished college, I think. Evan just finished college. Like, they're good players, but there's another level, isn't there?
No, there absolutely is. And this is a very, very competitive tournament. I mean, the TBT, there's been guys that have gotten NBA contracts from playing in the TBT. So when there's $1 million on the line when you win this thing, so guys take this very, very seriously.
Yeah.
And there is another level up, but there's a natural progression that comes with being a player. Just like when you leave high school or junior college and you got to adjust to a level up from Division I. There's no different from making the jump from Division I to the pro level. And that's where you have guys like Justin Hawkins and even guys on staff like Billy Keys and JY, Jamar Young. Those guys have Lamar Mourinho. Those guys have played professionally and they had long careers overseas. So when you talk about the breadth of experience that's on our roster, those guys can really kind of mentor and lead the younger guys into, hey, this is how it's going to be when you're playing against this level of competition.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned the vets there. A couple of guys that I wanted you to address were the non-NMSU folks that you added to the roster. Can you talk about those two guys real quick, and then I'll move on?
Yeah, sure. So there's two guys that are on the roster that do not play for New Mexico State in college. One is Lamar Mourinho. He played at Montana and Montana State, I think, back in, probably about 15 years ago. He's older. He's still very active. He plays on the ABA team in Albuquerque. He works with Brandon at the ABC club up in Albuquerque. So, he's kind of cool because he's one that's coaching and he's one that's still playing. So he's got a unique perspective. He also has experience in the TBT. So he's played in the TBT before.
Sure.
The other guy is Jerome Seegers. He played at UNLV. Awesome human being. When we went to UNLV, he was just finished playing. So he was around our staff in the gym, constantly working, has a tremendous work ethic, awesome personality, very fun-loving individual. And believe it or not, as some of our former players would come to Vegas to see us and hang out or work out in the gym, they started developing their own relationships with Jerome. So there are guys on the team that are friendly and have a good bond and chemistry already established with Jerome Seegers. So those two are going to fit in very seamlessly into the roster of Aggies that we put together, and we're glad to have them.
So as a coach, in a 3 or 4 day period of getting these guys on the court, like, is it like higher level pickup? I mean, like, these guys obviously know the game.
Right.
Like, how much how much system or what are you trying to do on the court in this short window?
Right. Again, so kind of like what we talked about earlier, right? Like you have the very short window here. So you have to prioritize, what you want to work on, because you're not going to get it all in. You're just not. So you absolutely have to have some defensive principles.
Okay.
That's a non-negotiable. So we're going to spend some time in shell defense, and we're going to spend some time working on pick and roll defense, because a lot of it's going to come back to pick and roll. So
Okay.
we've got to have our shell principles, our defensive principles in place. We've got to talk about them. We're not going to get as many reps as we want, but at least we're going to talk about them so we know what our identity is defensively. Offensively, these guys are skilled players. They have IQ, they have feel, they have athleticism, and we're going to give them structure. We're not going to just roll the balls out and let them go play. We've got to give them some organization, some structure, because again, it's about team. Individually, these guys can go get it how they want to get it, but there's 5 guys on the court. So giving them that structure and that organization will put everybody on the same page on the offensive end.
So what stands out to you? You had some games in the pit. I mean, what do you remember about that place when it's full and it's UNM and NMSU?
To this day, people ask me that question all the time. They say, what's the best arena you've played in? And the answer is the pit. It's a different kind of atmosphere up there. I mean, it is a beloved basketball. When you talk about excitement generated just for basketball, that building pulls people in to watch basketball. And for the TBT to put the region in Albuquerque in the pit was just a big time move. One, because you get your West Coast schools more involved in the TBT, which in years past they haven't. But you attract a fan base of people that just love basketball, and the Aggie and the Lobo, the rivalry is strong. There's no doubt about it. But what Brandon Mason has emphasized, and I believe the message is starting to get out there, is that there's strength in numbers. And when we step on the court as Lobos and Aggies, let it begin. Let the rivalry begin. The competition is there, and it should be there. Yeah. But when we step off, there is a bigger picture into play. And that's representing New Mexico basketball. That's New Mexico strong. And that's ultimately what Brandon Mason is pushing with his ABC club and being a vital role in setting up this regional in the pit in Albuquerque, is to get the attention to New Mexico as a whole. And that's the bigger picture. And again, we're excited to be a part of that.
Are the fans going to be able to interact with these guys in Las Cruces at all, or?
Absolutely. So I think what we'd like to do is on July 16th, which is a Saturday, we would like to open up the practice. We know that there are a lot of players on our roster that haven't been back to Cruces, and we know that there are a lot of fans who would love to see them in action on the court in practice, and then maybe even walk up to them and have a casual catch-up kind of conversation. And we definitely want to open that up to our fan base in Las Cruces. We're going to provide details at a later time, but we're going to have potentially an inter-squad scrimmage, maybe a couple contests involved to generate some excitement and some enthusiasm for the group.
Cool, Preston. Hey man, well, I know you're busy. All you guys got full-time jobs and you're doing this on the side. So I know it's a time thing for you guys. So I appreciate your time, Preston. And I look forward to seeing you guys in Las Cruces.
Jason, it's awesome, man. Thank you.